Alright, so since the last video I've made some adjustments. I've fully implemented pretty much. I say fully loosely because I might make changes later, but I have fully implemented my first character. Myself, because I'm a pretentious douchebag. As you can see, I think it turned out well. Don't mind that, it's just a very strange thing when it comes to Construct 2, where you have to have one single instance of an object in order to make more instances of it. But some of the features are that I have all of these animations for jumping, falling, walking. I don't know if you can tell this, but this top ribbon right here is actually a separate instance. So for my attack, I can click in any direction and go, which I thought was kind of unique as far as all the other characters are concerned, which are probably going to have either not going to have directional attacks. I'm not really sure what causes that. But I have programmed two abilities, one of which is a projectile that deals damage. The damage isn't really important right now, and the other one is kind of an expensive ability that deals damage in a line. Of course, it might seem like a lot of damage, but again, it's going to be adjusted later. So let's get into a little bit about how this character works. Yeah, I was listening to music earlier. First, you'll see that I have a new element on the home screen, which I can use to select my character. So if that is not what I thought it did. So if I wanted to, say, select the test player, I could go and select him again. I have most of this stuff is the same. Enternode, the HUD, the visuals, except in this one I have all of the specific animation stuff. Controls, I have the abilities. It'll make the calculations as to whether or not you have enough mana. It'll create an object. It'll update everything. Up here, we have when they're created and when they collide with enemies. I had realized that when I start to add more and more enemies to the game, that I would need to start having events for every enemy colliding with every attack, which is highly impractical. So what I have done is I created something known as a family, which has its own instance variables, which affects every child. I can call upon it in events, which will affect every part of the family, which is, for right now, just a practice dummy, and so on. So when I start to actually add enemies, I can have enemy-specific events and code, as well as code for all enemies. So as far as the ribbons go, the ribbon itself is actually adjusting an animation every time you whip it. I guess is the best way to describe it, to make it straight, and then it sets its angle to wherever the mouse is pointing, and it does some fancy shit as far as whether or not you're mirrored and falling and stuff, to have it all kind of align with the player as they are moving around. So as you can, if you pay attention here, obviously it has to account for whether or not it is the character's flipped. So what I just decided to do was to just unflip it, because it flips with the character. And that's it. What I actually decided to do as far as character selection goes is it actually deactivates all of these other groups whenever a player is selected. So if we select test player, it'll just deactivate the Enternode group. And if we select Enternode, it'll just deactivate test player, so that we don't control two players at once and have their logics goes. As far as at the glitch at the very beginning of the game, or at the very beginning, you saw this popping up and snapping to the character. I need to find a way around that. Maybe putting it on a different level. I think when I actually start to make a real level and just keep these on this level, that I won't have to worry about the glitch anymore. But you do need to have them laid out somewhere in the project. I don't think they have to be on the same level, though, or else Construct will fail to create them. Say, if we delete this, it was the last instance of it, and whenever we try to use the ultimate, we will get the error message that I believe we have saw in a previous video, if you saw it, that we were not able to create the instance of the object. I should have done this with the heart, but we'll soon be able to demonstrate it. There we go. There are no instances of this object anywhere in the project, so I suppose if we were to add an instance of it in the title screen, where is it? Move us. It won't do anything funny, and we don't get it. Okay, so I guess I could just put it in the title screen. It'll work out a little better, but I'm actually going to move this back to the test level, because if I ever need to do anything with it in this test level, I wasn't joking about the ribbon being a separate thing, by the way. Which is what I kind of planned from the beginning. One thing I should mention about this ribbon, though, is... oh, fuck, I rotated it. Is that it is actually attached to an image point. So I just find the image point right here for the ribbon. If I'm, say, jumping, I can set it higher, falling, I can set it lower, wherever it needs to be, so that when I go to snap it on, set position to Enternode at image point X ribbon, this is basically a function that returns the X of a specific image point that is calculated at runtime. Do the same for the Y, run it every tick, get the idea. And as far as that is pretty much all the interesting things. I don't think I missed anything that you might be curious about. Maybe the heart flying is actually just a bullet behavior, and this is just creating and destroying it very quickly and setting its angle, which isn't too particularly interesting. If you look at this really ugly, shitty code right here, this is actually a convenience function to calculate the angle between 2 points. So this is the image point X and Y of the ribbon image point and the mouse. And I think that's it. So I think I'm going to do one of two things when it comes to what I'm going to do next. I'm either going to create the functionality of the first level, or I'm going to create the aesthetics of the first level so that we can stop using the test level for it all. I'll make my decision. You'll see what I end up doing in the next video. I'm going to probably end up separating functionality and aesthetics into separate videos, just because they both take a bunch of time. So yeah, this video obviously took a little while. The next one's probably going to take even longer. I suppose the only other thing I could really do is design the HUD, which something I'm not really ready for yet, because it's still like I could do anything with it at this point, and like designing it now wouldn't be the best idea. I'll see what happens, but until then, I will see you guys next time, and take care. Why is this open? And take care.